evening, aliens, droids, and humans. Tonight, we will be doing one of the great Star Wars movies, next to Empire Strikes Back and Solo. Tonight, we will be doing Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. One of the last movies created by George Lucas and by Lucasfilms. It was made in 2005, which sadly, again, was one of the last or first movies anyone's ever seen before the Disney trilogy. So let's get down to it. Basically, we're following Anakin Skywalker in his adult years as he's dealing with the pregnancy of his wife Padme, his hardships with the Jedi Order, who he feels is a little out of place nowadays, and the end of the Clone Wars. Basically, he kills Count Dooku and ends the war, but in doing so, he also becomes the hidden Sith Lord, Darth Sidious's apprentice, and ends up creating the faction we know and some of us love, the Galactic Empire. So, let's get down to it. It was directed by George Lucas, produced by Rick McCallum, written by George Lucas, music by John Williams, cinematography by David Tattersall, edited by Roger Barton and Ben Burt, and onto the film locations. Tonight, we have Guilin, Guarnaxi, China, which is our beautiful planet Kashyyyk. Bernese Alps, Grindelwald, Switzerland is the beautiful snowing mountains of Alderaan. Mount Etna, Sicily, Italy is Mustafar. Well, when it was exploding. Yeah, thank God no one got hurt, hopefully. Chateau El Deserti, Nefta, Tunisia, which is the Lars family home. And lastly, Fox Studios, Moore Park, Sydney, New South Wales, Australia, which is basically the rest, including the set of the Tantive 4. We have cast Owen McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi, Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker, aka Darth Vader, Natalie Portman as Padme Amidala, Ian McDermott is Chancellor Palpatine and Darth Sidious, Samuel L. Jackson is Bacchus Mace Windu, Christopher Lee is our famed Count Dooku and Darth Tyrannus. We have Anthony Daniels back as C-3PO. Kenny Baker is R2-D2. Frank Oz voices Yoda. Matthew Wood is General Grievous. Tamarella Morrison is Clone Troopers, including Cody. And Aiden Barton as Luke and Leia. Aww. We have favorite scenes. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know what my favorite scenes are. It's probably yours as well. Order 66 and the Battle of Heroes. Let's get on to Order 66. I mean, what hasn't been said already that I can say? It's an amazing scene. We get to finally see our famed Darth Vader in a bit of action, followed by clone troopers killing their Jedi generals. It's the massacre that we've been waiting for a long time, and it's just huge. It follows into the comics and books, and it's just, yeah, we didn't know many of the Jedi who were killed, unless someone explained it to us or someone read the comics. But it's just amazing, despite them basically going down as a bit. And the scene of Obi-Wan killing Commander Gree and the 401st clone trooper. It's just amazing. Especially watching him cut their heads off with one swift swipe of his lightsaber. And it's hard to say anything that hasn't already been said, but I feel Anakin is an amazing character in this scene. He doesn't really talk, so it's pretty much one of his best scenes as an actor. But just all the huge massacre of it all, and the mass. I mean, watching all these Jedi who, again, we've only met in, like, the original Clone Wars series and in Attack of the Clones, we basically get to see them slaughtered or, yeah, basically slaughtered. And it all starts with Anakin going to the dark side and becoming Darth Vader. And the amazing score of the March on the Jedi Temple and just the whole Order 66 attack. It's one of George Lucas's best, next to our next scene, which is Battle of Heroes, which everyone says that it's a little overdone, over-choreographed, and it's just too long. I don't feel it. I don't feel like it is. I mean, ever since I first saw it, it's been my favorite scene of every movie, next to Order 66, and you can just feel the power between Obi-Wan, Anakin, Yoda, and Darth Sidious as they're fighting to basically decide the fate of the universe. Finally, we get a major battle compared to Episode 6 and Episode 5, or Episode 1, which basically is subpar to these scenes. We finally get to see Yoda be a badass against someone about the exact same power level as him. Despite Palpatine being in hiding for years, he's still one of the most badass Jedi Sith Lords in the world, and it's just amazingly done. And the music, just the mix, it's just, my God. And I'm definitely gonna say this is my favorite song. I love hearing it every time I watch this movie, and the only one that would ever come close to it is, yes, the Duel of Fates on Episode 1, but just the mass of the voices and the mass of just it's just amazingly done. Anakin and Obi-Wan's fight basically took me by surprise when I first saw this. I didn't expect a huge lightsaber fight like this, but again, everyone says it goes long. I personally was on the edge of my seat every moment during this fight. And it ends up leading to one of the best conclusions of the movie, with Anakin being burned alive by the lava, Yoda going into exile with Obi-Wan, and just the knowledge of the end of the Jedi being at the hands of Sidious when he finally knocks Yoda off the platform. I mean, just wow. Honestly, there's really nothing else I can say about these. But I can say more about least favorite scene, which I'm pretty sure I'm not alone on this, but it's the battle between Obi-Wan and General Grievous. It just felt very short to me. I mean, Grievous barely gets to use his lightsabers. He does do that twirl thing, which is a bit exciting, but it's just hand-to-hand combat, which looked very badly choreographed. And the whole chase, yes, I like the little alien lizard, the Varactyl, but it didn't feel up to scale to what you usually see in a battle in Star Wars, and Grievous just dies so easily by a few blaster shots to his chest, which was basically again destroyed in the Clone Wars by Mace Windu, but it can get a little cheesy during this battle, and it's just Grievous overpowering Obi-Wan, and then we get a blaster fight. I mean, Grievous is a lightsaber-wielding cyborg, and Obi-Wan's a Jedi. I mean, I expected something similar to the Clone Wars episode, where he literally slaughters 4 Jedi, alone with his lightsabers and his feet, launching them into the roof. And I get Obi-Wan's supposed to live in this, but they at least could have made the battle a bit more entertaining. We could have seen a bit more of Grievous with his lightsabers, but they don't do that. And the only thing that really saved this was the clones coming in and fighting, and the lines during this scene. Hello there. Or army or not, you must realize you are doomed. Oh, I don't think so. Favorite scenes in this movie favorite lines in this movie so far, and it's been overdone a lot in memes, but it's just the only saving grace of this movie. And again, the scene where Grievous basically attacks Obi-Wan with all 4 lightsabers, and it just looks amazing when he pulls them out, and it's just, he's huge with them. But, on to the facts. Budget of $113 million, box office of $848.8 million. The original movie was supposed to be 4 hours long. Boy, I wish. 10-year-old Han Solo almost appeared in this movie. He was supposedly raised by the Wookiees in this movie, and he was supposed to help gain information on Grievous being on Utapau. Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen trained for 2 months in fencing and fitness just for the Battle of Heroes. Darth Vader's suit was made top-heavy by George Lucas for Hayden Christensen to make it look like he wasn't used to the suit, which I could tell that it was new to him. I mean, it worked pretty well. Funniest scene, there's a kitchen sink in the opening scene, which actually, funny story about that was the prop artist trying to create pieces of the Venator class or the droid gunships. Some of the debris is actually a kitchen sink, which they promptly in an interview claimed, oh, we just wanted to make sure we threw everything in there, including the kitchen sink. I find it funny. Ben Burtt voiced every droid. My God, that had to have been pretty hard, voicing every droid and every noise. It's just, there are so many droids in this movie, especially all the new ones, being the crab droid, the snail droid, the buzz droid, oh God, the IG-90 or 120 Magna Guard, and the I think that's it. But they were so big in this movie, and a perfect installment. Oh wait, the Tri-Droid. But, again, they're a huge part of this movie, and they make this unique to the rest of the Clone Wars and to the rest of the original prequel trilogy. The clones were all CGI except for one person playing a few of them, and that was, what was it? That was Tamara Morrison, and hands down, amazingly done by him. I really enjoyed the clones in this movie, and they're almost my favorite character. General Grievous' cough was done by George Lucas, not by Matthew Wood, sorry, but it was believable. I think George Lucas had a cold during that day. You can see the Millennium Falcon in the bottom right-hand corner of the scene of the transport landing, but it was called the Stellar Envy at the time. The Varactyl that Obi-Wan rides is named Boga, or named Boga. Julius Caesar was a major influence behind Emperor Palpatine. Yeah, we can see that. When Palpatine hears of Obi-Wan's engagement with General Grievous, he's actually seen looking at the plans for the Death Star, which I'm pretty sure was already being built. I mean, judging by the ending scene where they're looking off at the construction. Jet Lucas plays the Jedi that kills the clones before being killed in front of Bail Organa, and actually he's the same Jedi Padawan who we see in the library talking to Jacusta Nunn in Episode 2. George Lucas cameos as Baron Papanoida, who we finally get to know about in the Clone Wars series. The original opening included a montage of the Clone Wars battles, which actually consisted of the battles we see in the Order 66 scenes. The scene where Vader kills the Separatist leaders while Palpatine announces the Empire was actually modeled after the baptismal scene in The Godfather, which I didn't know until I saw both The Godfather and this movie. Good thing they took a lot of hints from a lot of great movies. Anakin's heart stops at the same exact time as Padme, but then restarts right after the mask is put on, signaling the death of Anakin and the birth of Darth Vader. Syndralic from the video game can be seen being killed on the recording. Anakin and Obi-Wan went by the call signs Red 5 and Red Leader during the Battle of Coruscant as a little reference to Obi-Wan's uncle, who played Wedge Antilles, and to Anakin's son, Luke Skywalker. And on to my favorite character. Basically, it's Obi-Wan in this movie. I mean, I hope a lot of people agree with me. I mean, he's the character that we've seen the most development out of anyone in the past, in all three movies, including 1, 2, and also 4. Despite that being Alec Guinness. But it's just, he's gone through so much. He's gone through the death of a master, the almost being killed by Count Dooku like twice, and he ends up losing a Padawan to the dark side and gaining another one in the 4th movie. So yeah, he's basically gone through a lot, and I've always loved Ewan McGregor as an actor. I even saw Sons of Gun, which was a really good movie where he acted in as one of the main antagonists. It's just really good. And the outfit's amazing. Seeing Obi-Wan in all these outfits and just his development as a character. I mean, he has some of the best lines in this movie compared to Hayden Christensen, who seems like he didn't really know how to act at all in any of these movies. I mean, look at the love scene between him and Natalie Portman. It's just horrendously done. But I didn't really come into this movie for the romance. I came for the battles. And on to my opinion. I feel the characters of the Grievous and Count Dooku were underwhelming, and they were not well utilized. I mean, you've got a Sith Lord and a cyborg general, which, if you didn't know, almost turned out to be a young child just sitting in a throne, but they could have done so much with them. I mean, we barely got to see much of Count Dooku in the second movie, despite him being one of the main antagonists next to Jango, but here he just has one fight, a few lines, and he gets cut down by Anakin, and it's just such an underwhelming use of Christopher Lee's acting skills in the Star Wars trilogy. I mean, the guy played Dracula years ago, and he barely gets anything in this movie. Grievous, he's supposed to be one of the droid leaders of the droid army, or cyborg leader, but he barely gets any development. Like Obi-Wan, he gets a few good lines, despite Obi-Wan being obviously the superior person in this movie, but he receives so little, and he goes down a bit like Count Dooku so easily. I mean, yeah, he gets like 3 scenes, and that's about it. And I mean, we got more development from the Clone Wars series for him, and this is just, he was so underwhelming and underused. And this was basically a lot of people's first interpretation of him. Opening space battle is still pretty amazing, but I find it sad that we don't really get to see a lot of the battle, but I guess that was the sacrifices they had to make to focus on our 2 main characters. I mean, we got to see more of a capital ship battle in Return of the Jedi. I mean, the Battle of Endor, it was amazingly done, and we'll get to that later on, or in a few weeks, but here, this battle just focuses more on Anakin and Obi-Wan, and it just, I want to see this battle, and it felt like they cut out a lot of good parts to it. And you just never get to see a huge capital ship battle between the droids and the clones unless you're watching the Clone Wars, and that's not even that big. But you've got like 90 ships here being underutilized. And this is basically a space battle for this movie, and it's not even that good. I also feel that the Separatist leaders are put in the movie just for Anakin to have a reason to go to Mustafar and to be disposable targets. I mean, in the book we get a lot of news or a lot of lines from like Wat Tanbor or the alien with the rings around her neck, but here we just watch Anakin slaughtering them as we cut to the Emperor also talking about what happened to him and his plot and about the new Empire, but you don't really get much from the Separatist leaders. And plus, I mean, come on, they're supposed to be, they're supposed to be used, they're the droid they're the people controlling the droids. At least give us some more development. And they don't even get much in the Clone Wars. I mean, we get a lot from the Republic and all their senators. Why can't we get much from the Separatist side? I like the use of CGI in the movie, and I don't mind the use of CGI Yoda. And I never have. I mean, I love watching Yoda lightsaber fight and just be badass. I didn't even... And actually, during the Order 66 sequence, I never noticed Yoda pushing those 2 clone troopers away before killing another one. But Yoda is amazing in this movie. I was glad to finally see Yoda being used for something other than sitting around or sitting on Luke's shoulders in Episode 5. I love the scene where Palpatine tells the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise. And it felt like it played a huge part in the turning of Anakin, and I enjoyed the Battle of Kashyyyk and finally getting to see the Wookiee homeworld. Let's get started on that. I mean, I enjoyed hearing about Darth Plagueis. I mean, it starts the whole plot line of Anakin wanting to save Padme and finally finding a way, and Palpatine using this to manipulate Anakin, and it's just skillfully done, and this is the first time we've actually heard about Sith Lords. I mean, you barely get any history of them in this movie. I mean, yeah, you get them in video games or you get them anywhere else, but no, not in this movie. And the Battle of Kashyyyk, Kashyyyk looks so beautiful, and just the scene between the Wookiees and the clones attacking the droids, it's just, I wish this movie was 4 hours long. I mean, at least we might have gotten more from the battles in this movie, especially when they look so gorgeous. And, I just wish we'd get more from our Star Wars battles. This has 4 years been my most favorite movie in the franchise, since it was one of the first ones I witnessed, but my opinion might change with Solo. I mean, yeah, I watched this right before I ever watched 4, and it just amazed me. I didn't even know there was a 1 and a 2. I just knew there was 3, 4, and 5, and 6 in this, and that's about it. And this, to this day, has been my favorite. I mean, it's got the best action scenes, it's just so massive, and it was one of the first PG-13 movies. I'm actually kind of sad I never got to see it when it came out. I mean, I was 5 at the time, and I didn't even know it came out around that time. And this was about the time I was starting to learn about Star Wars, and just watching this, it's just hard to find anything else, any other movies that I enjoyed as much as this. But it does have its flaws. And in conclusion, the movie actually belongs up top with The Empire Strikes Back as one of the greatest Star Wars movies. I mean, its romance scenes aren't as good, but at least it gives us more action than the Battle of Endor. I mean, the Battle of Hoth, and it's highly praised in this day. And it's actually gave us a better love story than Episode 2. It gave us a development of the love story between Anakin and Padme compared to the ugly lines that we got in the second movie. I mean, yeah, it's still pretty bad in this movie, but it was better. And it's honestly a fun ride that everyone should at least watch in or at one time in their life, and just enjoy it. I mean, it should be watched with the family, and it's just such a good movie. I mean, God. And the CGI was so well utilized in this. I mean, yeah, a lot of the scenes you can tell looks like it's just CGI background, but they've still got a lot of really good sets and a lot of really good resources in this. And the battles, my God, the battles were, I mean, we finally get to see the clones fight. I mean, yeah, we got, like, Episode 2 where they're just running into battle, but this, they were well utilized for once. And it's just such a really good movie. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's just, it's always been one of my favorite, and that's why I'm giving it a 9.7. So, yeah, please go watch this. It's just an amazingly done adventure opera that we've been waiting for years. And I'm pretty sure it was George Lucas's major best movie he's ever written. So yeah, next week we will be doing Solo, and the week after we'll be doing Droids, which I'll get to why in that video. But don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and please check out our Instagram our Instagram. And just go watch this movie. Trust me, you'll thank me. So good night, goodbye, and we'll see you next week.